Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to MexPac, Cost of Living in Mexico 2022. This is very casual, and this is just really for us to have a candid discussion about a lot of the nuts and bolts of what's happening right now in Cabo, how much things cost, and the best way to actually live there and be able to have the quality of life that you all have been searching for. So who are we? So this will give you a little bit of context in terms of our panelists today. So Glenn and Tracy, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Sure.
Yeah, well, we are Glenn and Tracy, originally from South Africa, and then moved to Canada, then America, and ended up here in the beautiful Baja.
And we absolutely love living here. We just got this most amazing relationship with Cabo and San Lucas and San Jose and Risa and Michelle. And this is so nice to be on this podcast. Thank you very much for inviting us.
And we became real estate agents, and we work with Cabo Cribs Real Estate.
And that was something that you did intentionally. You knew that that's kind of what you wanted to do once you moved down there, right?
You know, we had this idea that we wanted to do it, but we didn't have a clue how we were going to navigate that, and who would hire us or whatever. And actually meeting you on the House Hunters show, Risa, and Leroy, the broker of Cabo Cribs, was the host of the show. And he asked us at the time, he said, "Are you guys retired?" And we said, "No." And he said, "What do you want to do?" And we said, "Well, we would love to sell real estate." And he said, "Oh my God, I wanted to ask you to come and join us." And you know, that's how it sort of all started.
I think this kind of really adds a lot of realness to this, to your show, in the sense that we're atypical. A lot of folks who come here are either retiring or they want to just own an investment property and rent it out and have it pay for itself, which is absolutely fine. But for us, we made the decision, just lock, stock, and barrel, to just give it all up and take a leap of faith and drive from Tampa one way, load the car up with whatever can fit in it, whatever didn't fit in it, we threw out, and we came here with no prospects, just on the dream that we could make something work, hoping that the stars will align and we can get going. So to Tracy's point, that's how we ended up in real estate. We always wanted to do it, but we just never got around to it with kids at school and living a corporate life in the United States and Canada.
So awesome. It's so awesome. It's a lot of what people dream to do, awesome, but are a little bit too afraid to take that leap. So we'll talk more about that.
This is where your show helps so much.
No, great. I think it's important, right, to let people know that it's all possible. So Michelle, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, us as well. We've been coming to Cabo for about 15 years, and we just love it. You know, we fell in love with the calmness, the weather, the lifestyle. And during that pandemic, you know, we thought, let's try to reinvent ourselves. You know, we didn't come here with big hopes and dreams. We came thinking that we would semi-retire and, you know, figure it out as we go. And it's been nothing. We've never looked back. And opportunities just fall on your lap. Like in Canada, we have lots of experience in sales and marketing and project management, and the property management side just fell upon us. You know, there was a demand, and we started with one and then two, and then now, you know, working with Tracy and Glenn, they've, you know, been a big inspiration to making it work here, and it's been great. We've got quite a few clients now and looking for more, and we just want to share our experience with anyone who wants to live or own a property here for income purposes. You'll never look back.
Yeah, and so we'll talk a little bit about that, because Glenn and Tracy own their property, and I believe, Michelle, you and your husband still rent, right?
That's right.
Okay, so we'll get into that a little bit as well. And where are you from Canada?
Calgary originally, The last 8 years, we're in a little sleepy town called Radium Hot Springs. Population is about 1,000 people during the winter and grows to be about 15,000, 20,000 in the summer. So it's a unique, very nice Rocky Mountains, lots of snow. It's beautiful.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure it's stunning, but cold.
Yes, yes, but cold.
And Michelle and her husband also have 2 dogs, so we'll talk about pets as well, bringing over your pets. Yeah. And I am Risa Morimoto. I'm the founder and CEO of Modern Aging, as well as Dream Retirement International. Some of you may know, so I also direct episodes of House Hunters International, and that is why that's how I know Glenn and Tracy, because we worked on an episode with them in Cabo. This was during the pandemic, actually, that we filmed this.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
And so I go around, I've been traveling up until the pandemic. I was traveling all over the world, 2 weeks out of every month, going to different countries and stuff. And so through that, I met a lot of realtors, and I've been in many, many homes. Some of you may know the Modern Aging or Dream Retirement International YouTube channels, where if you're looking for anything kind of Mexico related, you can just put in the search bar Modern Aging Mexico, and a lot of these videos will all pop up. Some of them have gone viral in terms of just really giving practical information for those people who are looking to retire abroad, and has been really helpful. So that's what kind of inspired this session, and sessions like this is just the questions that I have been getting over the years about retiring abroad or living abroad. So as we kind of move forward, I just want to show you where Cabo is. For those of you who may not know, for some reason, it is in the Baja California region, right here at the tip. It's very famous for many things, being in the desert, right? You have the ocean on one side and then the Sea of Cortez on the other.
Yeah, we really have the best of both worlds. We've got the, like you say, the Pacific Ocean, cooler side, a little bit more breezy, less swimmable. And then we've got the beautiful, warm Sea of Cortez, both sides full of marine life. I mean, it's like a marine sanctuary, the Sea of Cortez. I think it is one of the richest seas in the whole world. And it is super famous for some serious deep sea fishing and sport fishing as well.
And I think for people to know, the whole area is called Los Cabos, and that's basically 2 cities. You have San Jose del Cabo, which is where you fly into, where our international airport is, and that is connected through the Cabo corridor to Cabo San Lucas, and that's at the tip there.
Right. And so when people talk about Cabo, oftentimes they're talking about Cabo San Lucas, but San Jose has also become very popular in terms of more like quiet residential, I hear. Is that right?
Yes. It's a combination. And it really, the nice thing with all of this is you've got the 2 cities connected by the corridor, and there's so much development. But for anyone who's looking to purchase a home and actually rent it out, or rent a place themselves, there's just this opportunity, an abundance of opportunity for rentals, because it is probably one of the premier destinations for Mexicans as well as Americans and Canadians to visit and come here for a week's holiday. So we've got hotels galore, we've got Airbnbs, we've got everything in between, short-term, medium, long-term rentals. So it really does appeal. And then, of course, SJD, which is San Jose del Cabo, the airport, connects direct to places like Denver. It's direct flight to other major hubs. So 2.5 hours and you're in Cabo. And so the accessibility of it all is so easy.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And that's what's really attractive to Americans, because they can get here quickly and it's not a big deal.
Exactly. And as you'll see here, there's some popular neighborhoods. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about, so when we talk about corridor is actually like, it's a big highway with gated communities almost on either side of the highway. Wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I best describe it as like the Californian coast. You know, you've got the palm trees, you've got some areas that are just incredibly manicured, like Palmilla, which is just outside of San Jose. And then you're getting into some arid areas that are just desert, cactus. If anyone's been to Greece, it's kind of like the Grecian coastline. You've got these cliffs and the blue turquoise water and these little white sailboats bobbing all over the place. It reminds me a lot of Greece, actually. And so you've got this amazing drive. It's a 25-minute drive between San Jose to San Lucas. And we're about 40 minutes from San Lucas to the international airport. So San Jose's about 25 minutes closer to the international airport. But both have so much to offer, you know, views, ocean-style living, golf. We have a huge community of golfers here. Pickleball's taking off. I mean, we've just got so much going on in this area.
And some of the neighborhoods in the corridor, for example, around the Chileno Bay area, which is an absolutely stunning, beautiful beach. You know, those condos, they start around 5 million.
Yeah, so it's everything in between. Now, if you look at the big circle on the map that you put out there, Risa, so that's an area called El Tizal. And El Tizal is where a lot of the expats live. Mostly, I'd say 90% American, Canadian folks that have bought and buying in this area. And it is one of the more up-and-coming areas for investment. A lot of great developers that are starting to build in this area. So you can see the corridor, it connects into Cabo. You've got the El Tizal area, which is on the coast and actually within a mile from the ocean. You've got about a 600-foot elevation. So for the most part, people can get views and breezes and just the most amazing views of the arch. Land's End, you know, the big piece of the Californian coast that comes to an end at the Baja Peninsula. And then if you look at the two little circles to the left of your picture, that is on the Pacific side. And that's an area called Querencia and Sunset. Quivira and Sunset. And again, those areas are in themselves just amazing. Very famous hotels. There's the Hiltons. There's like I said,
Waldorf
Astoria, Diamante, which has I think a 10-acre lagoon swimming pool. So, like I said, golfing, anything you want. But those are the main areas we're talking about. So San Jose, the corridor that connects, going straight into El Tizal as you enter Cabo and going into Cabo, and then on the other side of the mountain is the Pacific side.
And actually, El Tizal, we have the Home Depot, we have Costco there, we
Walmart.
have a beautiful brand new, the grocery store, Fresco, Walmart, all in that area.
Michelle loves Fresco.
I love Fresco.
I do too. It's like
I love Costco.
It's like a Whole Foods. You can get anything at Fresco. It's so nice.
You know, I find it less expensive than the Walmart here.
Do you really?
I find Walmart is one of the more expensive places to shop here in Cabo.
Interesting.
I do find that Costco generally runs a little bit more expensive than Costco in the States. But we get all our gas from Costco, and it's actually a little bit cheaper than in the United States right now. So there's pros and cons to everything.
But that El Tizal area, I mean, it's so accessible to anything that you need, from little sandwich shop to a car wash. You know, there's
and the beautiful farm to table within walking distance is you can tell them, Michelle, but wow.
5-minute walk down our road, there's a farm to table called Uberto's, and it's incredible. Even the scenery there is incredible. It'd be a beautiful place for weddings or for retirement parties or whatever. It's just the land there, and the food is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Cabo is, specifically San Lucas, is just riddled with the most amazing restaurants. We've been here for so long, and we can still walk down the road and still find something unique or something we never knew about. Like where were we this week? I mean, we tried a couple of new ones, and they were amazing.
Yeah. And you can go to if you get out of the marina you know, there's some really inexpensive, amazingly good restaurants. On the
Well, we're
marina,
gonna-
I still find it's a little touristy, so the prices are higher.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about that. I did want to give people just a little bit of a sense of, if you've not been to Cabo, how gorgeous it is. This is the infamous peninsula at the end. This is basically Cabo. What are we looking at here?
This is Land's End.
Well, you can,
And the
and you can actually see the arch there.
Yeah, at the bottom.
The famous arch, and then in between that beach there, right at the end, the beach you're looking at on the Pacific side is actually called Divorce Beach because it's a little rougher and crazier. And then on the other side, you can walk through, and that's Lovers Beach. It's calm, it's warm, it's loving. So we have both, and actually that cove, there's a couple of caves in there. That's where some of the Pirates of the Caribbean movie was shot
Oh, fun.
and filmed. Yeah, so we actually have our own resident pirate boat that floats around the bay, and once in a while we get a glimpse of Jack Sparrow, I guess. But it's fun. It's a fun place to be. But you're looking at the Pacific beaches right now, and then behind that is the Bay of Cabo with the main beach called Medano Beach.
And we don't swim on the Pacific side. That's too rough.
In fact, right after
swim.
Hurricane K, so that resort that's right on the Pacific side is called Grand Solomar. And right now, well, last week anyways, the water was right up. There was no beachfront at the Grand Solomar because of the turbulent. And the water was just right up to the wall, essentially, of the Grand Solomar.
Wow, that's
So it's
scary.
amazing how it changes, for sure.
It really is, and actually we're fortunate in the sense that we really only have a limited stormy season, which is mostly September through mid-October for the most part. That's when we can expect hurricanes, tropical storms, a deluge of rain, and because we're a desert, we're not really like super geared up for rain, so we generally get quite a lot of water flowing down from the mountains and coming through, and we get washed out a little bit at times. But for the most part, I would say the vast majority of the year we have clear skies and the most amazing weather. Dry, warm, but not too hot, not too cold, perfect.
Probably
weather.
340 days a year of beautiful, clear blue sky.
But when it rains, it pours, for sure.
Yes, and yes, because you guys do have a hurricane season, right?
Right.
Yes,
Right
we're in
now.
it right now. Yeah.
Okay. So this is actually the corridor near San Jose. So you see that it's pretty built up, right? But this is actually a photo that I took from a condo unit, a penthouse condo unit. So it's amazing how far back you can be and still be able to see the water.
It is. That's my point, about the elevation. And also, if you hang a left right there and you just go another 10 minutes up the road, up the East Cape, you're getting to even more beautiful areas. There's acre farms, there's flora farms, all these farm-to-table type restaurants, boutique hotels. There's another marina in San Jose. So, we're getting all these super yachts pulling in here from, I don't know who they are, but Dennis Washington, who's a copper miner, has two of these amazing things with helicopters and the whole bit. And then you've got the little guy with the little skiff and he's floating into the marina. So everything in between, but both cities have marinas. And both cities, as soon as you get out of the city, you can be quite rural and you can be building and buying land right on the ocean for not a whole lot of money. And so you can be here or you can be completely isolated and still be 10, 15, 30 minutes away from civilization.
That's great. So tell me a little bit about these two restaurants that I believe you both frequent.
Yeah.
So would you say this is more for not locals, but for expats versus touristy restaurants, or both, or?
Well, especially the Roadhouse, which is the picture on your left, you'll find, that is actually just around the corner from where we live. and it's always filled with expats. It's actually a Canadian family that run it and own it. And Michelle, you can talk a bit about Cascadas there on the right.
Cascadas is an old school, I would call it a timeshare. It's a hotel. It's old school. The food there is amazing for the most part. And for large groups, as you can see, we had, I think that was a table of about 16 or 18 of us right in the middle. And it's just gorgeous. They had a fire show going on that night. It's right on Medano Beach. It's calm, swimmable there. And the food is relatively inexpensive. We love going there for breakfast. We've got great eggs Benedict. But yeah, it's just a nice, I wouldn't call that local at all, but I would call it more of an old school original. It's been around for quite some time. And it's,
I like that you can dine on the beach, you know, and the thing is with Cascades or Cascadas is it's right in the bay, the Medano Bay. So when you're sitting on the beach, you're actually looking at Land's End and the arch, and you know that aerial picture we looked at earlier, just of the bay, it's right in that bay. So you can walk along the beach if you went right for 10 minutes and you'd be right in the marina, and you can walk down into the marina, and there's restaurants. To Michelle's point, there's a beautiful international mall called Risa Mall. It has everything you want at a premium, but it is definitely, it's a nice location. You will have vendors on that beach, because it is like a lot of the common beaches in Mexico. People will be selling their wares, which is fine. But 10 minutes towards San Jose, you're at beaches that are completely isolated and most beautiful aquarium type swimming, fish, everything you need.
So I would say Medano, or Medano as they pronounce it, that is your main beach in Cabo.
That's awesome. So Glenn and Tracy, so this is the house that we filmed at for House Hunters.
It's the one we selected.
So you purchased this. When did you purchase it, and what did you pay for it?
Wow.
You know, this house has a story. We came down 11 years ago on vacation and stayed at the Rio, which is basically across the road, and absolutely fell in love with Cabo and went back home. We were living in Toronto at the time, and found a Canadian realtor married to a South African. They were both husband and wife team. And of course, at the time, we're South African Canadians. And we bought this condo sight unseen, little via. And then Glenn got a transfer to Tampa and we sold it. I never wanted to sell. Glenn said, come on, we're not going to use this place. So we sold it. And when we decided, so this is 2.5 years ago now, we actually contacted that realtor back again, and we happened to buy the same.
So it looks fancier than it is, Risa, let's be honest. I mean, it looks pretty impressive in this picture, but we just own the top piece of it, okay? So we don't own the whole building. Well, so we're the upper level, and in the picture top right, you can actually see our balcony. And when we sit on that balcony, we're looking at Land's End or towards the arch. So we have a lovely view. And then the bottom right picture is our Via Neptuno neighborhood. So we have that big swimming pool in the middle of it. It's a horseshoe shape. And there's how many units
We
here?
have 34 individual units here.
And ours is actually one of the smallest. So, you know, it's great for us. We don't want anything too elaborate. We love that it's efficient. We've redone the whole house. You know, we've done AC units. We've got everything efficient. So really the cost of living is so inexpensive for us. It's just really costs nothing to, once you own your property, really does not cost you a lot to maintain it. And that plays into when you're renting it out, you know, the ratio, the profit ratio is really good once you own your property.
So how much?
I can see somebody asking a question. Can I answer that?
So let everybody know. So what did you pay for it? What is it worth now? And what are your HOA fees? And it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath or 1-bath?
Two bath.
Two bath. They both ensuite bathrooms. So we have like a great room in the middle and a master off on each end. We actually 2.5 years ago, we managed to scoop this up for 200,000.
It was very rundown. Very rundown. We had to do quite a bit to it.
It's worth quite a lot more now.
Well, I would say realistically, you're asking, I'm trying to be like specific. So we paid 200. I would say we're probably 2 years down the road, closer to the $300,000 mark. Bearing in mind, it's only around 1,600 square feet. So to answer your question, I think it's Todd.
Todd, yeah.
Todd, the our HOA fees I consider probably a little higher than average, but we're paying about $220 US dollars a month. So everything here is in US dollars. So whether you're buying a house, talking HOA, we always reference it in US dollars.
And so that covers, so you have gated security 24/7, or is it just?
It covers the security, the maintenance of our common areas, and we have beautiful maintained gardens. We have 3 gardeners, our swimming pool area. So it's all the outside.
But
Carry on.
But we are responsible for maintaining the exterior of our homes, right? So we have to paint them. There's not like that doesn't come out of the HOA, and that's quite typical here. Is it really mostly covers the common areas, the gardening and your security. But what's really cool about having a unit like that, we have big sliders that open up. And so when we don't have this hot, muggy weather, we have really great dry weather for the rest of the year. So the indoor-outdoor living in San Lucas and San Jose is very real. You know, we lived in Tampa, but we had a lot of rain all the time in the summer. And so you're stuck inside with your ACs churning all day. But here you can really open it up. We don't have a lot of insect activity, you know. If it's rains, we get a bit of mosquitoes. But for the most part, we don't see a lot of bugs and things like that. So you can open it up and really enjoy the outdoor living experience. A lot of folks will have rooftops. I wish we had a rooftop, because you can go up there, you're getting all these great views. But that's our little situation. So 1,600 square feet, and you know, you've heard what we paid for it, and then our running costs are really low.
For people that are looking, I mean, to get anything decent now in a decent area, you're going to start at 300,000.
Yeah, I would say 300,000, between 300 and 350 is kind of the sweet spot to find a place.
And that'll be a 2-bedroom.
Yes.
So if you're wanting, and that's a condo. So if you're wanting a house, you're going to start looking into the 400s. If you want a standalone house, and if you want 3-bedroom, you're probably starting around 400,000.
There is a caveat to this, because we're talking in the areas that we consider the most desirable areas that we would want to buy a house in, that we would want our clients to have the best return on investment. You can go into parts of San Lucas or parts of San Jose that are very local, and you can go and buy a little place there, but you will be in a vastly majority Spanish-speaking community, and you know, it's just a little trickier. It's not generally gated, so these are the pros and cons you can weigh up. But you can buy cheaper properties downtown.
And if you're buying it to rent it out, Michelle will be able to tell you, you're not going to be able to attract people to rent in those areas. You want to be in a good area that is desirable for people to come and rent.
And of course, it's all relative to what your rental becomes, right? So,
all right, so that's tricky. I think that, so this is actually a good segue into rentals. So this is a rental, is that right, Michelle?
That's right. This is a standalone home in an area called Punta Arena, which is in the El Tizal area, so mountainside. They have great views. This is a 3-bedroom home and 2.5 baths. This room has all the bedrooms are downstairs in this unit, and then your living area is elevated. So you've got the deck outside, you've got beautiful views, relatively like you've got some homes probably in this area that obstruct your view, but for the most part, the views are fantastic. This area has 2 pools. And, you know, in the low season, this could go for as low as 160 a night, 150, 160 a night.
And I think, sorry.
That's good. In high season, you know, you're looking probably around the $180 to $200 a night. So, you know, for rental,
and just
it's great.
To give some perspective, if you had to buy that house, there was one listed in Punta Arena we saw 2 days ago, and I think we're looking at around $370,000, $400,000 for that type of home.
3,700.
Yeah, between 370 to 400,000
to purchase. So if you were to,
Yep.
Are you able to rent these kind of properties long term as well?
Yes, for sure you can. This one specifically, the owner during the winter months travels quite a bit back and forth. So he only wants to look at a 3-week rental. So this one is primarily a vacation rental. However, we've got other ones that you can go 3 months, 6 months.
So here's another one.
Yeah. This is an area also in El Tizal. It's actually just above where we're living now, called Cabo Del Mar. It has a great water park pool facility. The view is amazing. In fact, the owners bought this from Glenn and Tracy sight unseen. And when they walked in, he was teary at how beautiful that view was. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. And
I don't know if he was teary because he was relieved because he hadn't actually seen the house that he bought, or if he was teary because he was so emotionally happy that he bought the house and it was exactly how we described it. But no, he was excited. And again, I mean, when did they buy that house? About 6 months ago.
End of June they did the soft close end of June.
Right. So again, like you say, just it's a most amazing view patio, looking right at the heart of the Cabo Bay. It's just.
And how much did you pay?
That was also something we managed to get them that at an absolute steal. They paid $255 for that condo, and those same condos in that area are now listed from $3 to $375.
This is 3 bedrooms.
We always get our clients a good deal, Risa. It's important. You know, we try to buy like we're buying for ourselves, and so every one of our clients honestly have made a killing already. So it's still, fortunately in Cabo, we're still at the bottom of that investment curve. We're coming out of it a little bit. A year ago, there was just smoke and deals all over the place, you know, with COVID, with everything else that's going on. We are coming out of that, and I think we've still got about 1.5 years, 2 years of a great window for people to purchase here, because there are still great deals to be had, and the trajectory is going like this. So if you buy soon, you're looking at something investment, you'll definitely realize a fantastic return on investment.
Especially if you are prepared to buy pre-construction.
Now, if everyone...
You're gonna get 30 to 40% equity at closing.
Oh, here's a great example.
So here's pre-construction. So this is a development, Porto Nova, right? That you are representing?
Yes. Yes.
So how many
Correct.
units,
So
and what is the price range? What kind of units are?
Okay, so these are condo units. There's actually, it's again in the El Tizal area, and we work very closely with the developer, but Cabo Cribs represents the listing side for these. There will be 178 condos in different condo blocks, and every single condo, even from the ground level, will have a view of the ocean and of the Arch and Land's End. It has the most amazing amenities like that it's an acre lagoon swimming pool with an infinity edge, full gym, there are pickleball courts, there's a spa with salon, hair salon, massage, manicures, pedicures, restaurants, all that sort of thing.
I think what's really cool about these projects, and the thing is, this is why these calls are so good, Risa, because it is so important for buyers or potential buyers, to partner with really good agents, so that they are, when they go and they work with developers or they get involved with developers, that, Tracy and I have done all our due diligence. We've made sure this developer's legit. We work with specific lawyers. We make sure that, the world has all sorts of weird things that can happen, but for the most part, we make sure that everything is very carefully looked at, and we work directly with the developer to make sure that when our clients buy these types of properties, that their contracts are solid, that they get what they're paying for, and we try to structure it so that they only pay as the levels go up on these condos, so that you don't have all your cash in one go. And so this is how it works. And Tracy alluded to it earlier. With pre-construction here, I don't like to use the word guarantee, but we see it consistently, 35 to 40% equity gains at closing. So remember, if you're closing, this example, Porto Nova, we close on the first building in 18 to 24 months.
So these are starting off, the 2 bedrooms are starting at 330,000. So that's 1,450 square feet, 2 bed, two bathroom. The 3 bedroom are huge. They're over 2,000 square feet. They're 3 bed, 3.5 bath with a dedicated office, and the master bedroom, plus you've got views of the arch from the master, the living room, dining room, kitchen, and of course your patio. And those are starting around 400,000.
For instance, the penthouse units are 4,700 square feet. They're gigantic, and they have the most amazing views. So this is just one example. If you look at the picture top left, you can see the patios. They are gigantic. Your bedrooms with this particular project, it's different because the master is actually in front of the condo. So you will lie in bed in your master bedroom looking at the arch. And then it's connected to that patio, and then you've got this massive patio. So from your kitchen, your living area, you can see all of Cabo. And so this is one example of the types of, it's all going to be high quality. A lot of the buyers we're seeing are coming from Newport Beach, California. A lot of Canadians are coming down, Vancouver. So this is the type of demographic we're seeing a lot. And this is one example. There are quite a few good developments in Cabo right now.
Yeah, and so Amanda, just to also address your question, so a lot of people do buy for investment purposes, but a lot of people also go there and purchase and live in their property, like you guys, in terms of and not using it as investment property. So Michelle, actually, before we just move over to kind of cost of living, and we're going to get into kind of day-to-day living expenses, can you tell us a little bit about the property? Because since you rent, what is your monthly rent, and how big is your apartment or condo?
Our condo, so we have a 2-floor standalone. We don't share walls. I would call it what do you call it? Like a villa. It's a standalone home. We have a small backyard as well. That's private, and we pay it. Our rent just went up because we're over a year now, but we pay 30,000 pesos. So if you convert that into US dollars, it's probably around that $1,500 mark. And we are in a community with quite a few expats and quite a few local Mexicans. We've got a lawyer down the street. We've got a timeshare salesman beside us, an architect. So there are a lot of locals in our area, and we like it. We don't get the view. That's the only thing, because we don't have rooftop patio, that kind of thing. So there's lots of places to be had very similar to places like ours. that you'll see not furnished for around that $1,500 mark. If you want a furnished rental, long-term rental, you're probably now looking anywhere between 18 and 22. And square footage wise, I would say this is what, Glenn, 1,500 square feet?
Yeah, I think 1,600 square feet under AC, I think is right. So we often refer to AC square foot. So it's a bit bigger because you've got a little patio area, but 1,500 square feet.
We have a large kitchen. I just love the kitchen here. Our bedrooms are a little smaller, and it's 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. So
it's very modern.
Yeah, it's great.
And it came furnished.
It did not come furnished. We bought all of the furniture here.
Wow, because that's and actually, let me just get to Todd's question. So, how hard is it to find 1-bedrooms in Cabo?
There are 1-bedrooms. The majority, I'd say, are 2-bedroom, but obviously your 1-bedroom are quite a lot less expensive, depending whether you're wanting to rent. I don't know if Todd's thinking buying or renting.
You're always better off, if you can, to have a 2-bedroom if you're planning to rent. If you're just planning to live here on your own and you just want a bachelor pad, 1-bedroom, absolutely there are those opportunities and properties available. We haven't seen too many because we don't spend a lot of time in that market.
But actually, if you think, Risa, you'll recall on our House Hunters show, the one at Michione's was a 1-bedroom.
Oh, yeah. That was a 1-bedroom.
And I mean, that had
a lovely view.
Had the most amazing view of the ocean. So
you're probably between 900 and 1,000 square foot is what you'd be looking at in a 1-bedroom. But yeah, of course, they're available. I'd like to get back to Amanda's just because I think it's important. She made a reference to retiring here. And I don't know if you're going to get that to that later, Risa. But I think it is important that, Amanda, for us, as you know, we came here with no retirement fund or pension or anything like that. And so for us, making sure that we can be careful and frugal in the beginning and making sure that we can survive, we can absolutely comfortably live on $35,000 a year. That is everything. And when I say everything, medical insurance, car insurance, food, gas, if you can name it, it's all in that budget.
Except that does not include rent.
Yes.
Because we bought.
So in that model, it's assuming you've bought, because most buyers here buy with cash and they own their properties. That doesn't mean you can't get loans, because there is a place where you can get loans. But for the vast majority of expats, they buy cash, they own their property. And then once you own, you're looking at around $35K a year to live in Cabo. And Cabo is one of the more expensive cities to live in Mexico.
Correct, which is actually a good segue because we can look at pretty pictures of Cabo and kind of break it down a little bit. Okay, so if you can share, so let's kind of go through utilities. So how much do you pay for electricity per month?
So this is interesting because they have different tiers. So if you are careful with your electric bill and your and air conditioning, our electricity bill probably runs an average, so right through a whole 12-month period, around $20 a month.
What? 20?
I mean, I just laugh when I hear that.
How is that possible?
You know, like I said, they tiered. So if you're not careful and you have a bigger home and you run your air conditioning all the time, full ball, you can really get very, very hefty high bills. Like
for instance, in Michelle's world, where she's got renters coming in and it's all included in the rent. Well, they don't care. The AC's just run, the doors are wide open. Their bills might be a little different to ours.
I don't know. What are your bills, Michelle?
I've seen them up around, last month. So it's difficult because you're charged every 3 months, I believe. It's not every 2 months. So I would say on average, because we do run the air conditioning probably a lot more than Glenn and Tracy, just because we do have two big dogs. Our bills are probably more around the $75 to $80 a month. Now we've seen
That's
them as
still low.
It is low. It's a lot lower than Canada for sure. Some of the renters' bills I've seen come in at about $125, $130. That's when the renters have been in there and the air conditioning's going, and you go there after they've checked out, and you know the air conditioning's been left on or the lights are still on. So as a rental property, and we try to really get our renters to be careful with the air conditioning bills, because there's nothing worse than seeing those doors wide open and air conditioning running full blast. So it happens.
So that was my point. There's two sides to this. So we live here. It's really just Tracy and I. We run our AC all the time. I mean, all night. I mean, it's so hot right now, you've got to run it. But when we go out, because we have these mini split systems, it's not central air, we just turn it off. Whereas, you know, in Michelle's situation, you've got to keep it cool for the dog. So you've got to keep it running. And so it's a different scenario. But
and actually, something I find that, you know, when we moved in here, we had very old air conditioning units. So the very first thing we did was to replace them. And we replaced all three of the mini split air conditioning units for around $4,500. And we put inverter mini splits in, which are 70% more efficient than a regular.
I'm assuming everyone knows what the mini splits are, right? Because a lot of Canadians have central air, a lot of Americans have central air. It's those individual AC units in every room. So each room is a zone. So when you're in the room, you don't need to be cooling the rest of the house. So that's what that is. But for us, even our $20, I mean, that's been a little increase in what we were paying, to be honest. It just went up a little bit. So, I mean, if we tripled our bill, I still wouldn't lose any sleep at night at all. It's so cheap.
And actually, the water is very inexpensive as well, but we live in a desert, so you have to be very, very mindful of not wasting water. Our water bill on average is about $11 a month.
Yeah.
$11.
Yeah.
Can you believe
Even in
it?
a desert. But I imagine, so do you have water restrictions or anything like that happening there?
It depends on, Risa, it depends on the area. Like, for instance, where we are in Via Neptuna, we don't have any, what they would call a water reservoir attached to our units. Some areas will have a condo, and then each condo has a reserve. It's for use of a better word, like a little pool.
It's like a cistern.
A cistern, and it has like 5,000 liters. So if, for instance, there is a water shortage, I mean, we're in the desert, so sometimes there is a water shortages. Or if a hurricane comes and the water's cut, you can draw from your cistern, and a 5,000 liter cistern will last two people probably quite comfortably 2 weeks. So you have that buffer.
And Michelle will know, because that's how, in the area where she lives,
Right.
and then you can order.
So we order, and it's about 900 pesos or $50 US to fill that water cistern, which would for sure last a family of four if they're relatively careful for 2 weeks. But then we also get water from the town through the pipes. And I would say when there's not a shortage, we get water twice a month for sure. So I would say for us, we do end up ordering a truck of water probably once a month, just to top it up. But for the most part, we can live fairly comfortably on the 5,000 liter cistern.
And where we are, we've never had to do that because our development's a little older, and we somehow get water direct from the city. And I think our location, we generally get water first before some of the other areas. So for us, we don't need a cistern, and we, touch wood, have not ever run out of water. But if we did, we've got zero reserve. Then we've got to go and hang out with Michelle at her house and drink her wine.
That's right.
And then our internet. Now we only pay $20 a month for our internet, and we work from home, and
Everything.
it's fine.
Wow.
You can pay more and get faster speeds and all that sort of thing, but that's all ours is.
But there's a list of important costs, Risa, and I don't know if you're going to be specifically asking about like layers of costs and but energy is one, water is one, but healthcare is a big deal. So for Tracy and I, we buy healthcare. For use of a better word, I would say it's probably emergency healthcare. Because the cost of being treated here, you can go to a specialist for $50. The dentist, you can have all your teeth done, cleaned, all of that done for $50. So when you buy medical here, we buy that plan. It's about $2,400 a year for the two of us.
And that again, all the expat insurances here are based on every 5 years of your age. So, as you get older, the price does increase.
I see Michelle has a question.
Yes. So what's included for rent here? Now, ours was unfurnished, and so we just cover our water, which we do get a receipt or a bill from our condo development for water for the city, and that is around the $13 range. Anything over and above that is about a 900 peso or $50 charge for a truck of water. And then our utilities, the HOA and everything is completely covered in your rent.
And do you pay a month in advance, a month security?
Yes, we did. We paid a security deposit, and then of course we paid a pet deposit as well. And then we signed the 1-year lease. It's coming up here October 15th will be our 1 year here. And they did increase our rent by 5,000 pesos.
And somebody's just asked a question. We have a lady, her name is Kathy Smith. She's actually a Mexican citizen as well as an American citizen. And she's an insurance broker. We have bought our medical through her. And the one we buy is called IMG Direct, and we bought this IMG Silver. And our deductible is $2,500 per person per year.
So it's not prohibitive at all. We're not like young. So, it's $2,400. It's actually a little less than that, but just rounding it up. So $2,400 between the two of us, it's really quite affordable to have that peace of mind. And like I said, you can go to the doctor for so cheap. So why go and pay extra for all of that when you don't need it?
That's what a lot of people do. They buy catastrophic insurance and then they pay out of pocket for the cold. If you have the cold or you have, you need to.
Oh, yes.
And actually a lot of those insurances you can actually buy it that will cover just like the whole world. But you're going to pay double then. So instead of the $2,500, it'll be $5,000 for the year.
So see, Amanda's asking how much does it cost to clean a house?
Michelle, you can answer that one.
Absolutely. Do we have people to clean our homes? We have one because I say she cleans much better than I do. She's lovely.
They're so good.
They typically do not speak English, but with Google Translate, we have full-blown conversations. It's amazing. And it depends on the size of the home. For our rental units, because it's basically a deeper clean every time, it's about 1,000 pesos. For my home alone, she comes once a week, it's 500 pesos. So that is about $25 US. So for me, I wouldn't go without because that's worth every $25 100 times over.
It's so worth it. Also being in a desert, the reality of living in a desert is when the winds pick up, we get quite a lot of dust. So if you like your outdoor living area, you're going to be cleaning it a lot because we get quite a fair amount of dust. And having someone come in and for 25, 30 bucks a day, it's so worth it. And they do such a great job.
Bedding
And,
for 5 hours.
I know, and they're so nice, the Mexican culture and the people, and they're so appreciative. And so I know Michelle does this, but we do it too. We're always giving them extra, whether it's clothing or, we help them. And we that, but they were asking, what would someone charge you? And it's around what Michelle was saying, but we typically always give them a little extra to help.
I say this a lot, another amazing deal, especially for us coming from Canada, to get your car detailed used to cost us, or your truck with 2 dogs was like $180, $220 in Canada. It was 170 pesos to take your car for an hour, and they clean that inside and out. So that,
what's that, like $8?
like $8, $12. By the time you
$8, $9. Yeah.
By the time you tip them, it is the biggest deal I've found here yet.
Oh, it's the best. I love that. Right by Walmart. That's my favorite one.
Todd's asking a question. Glenn and I knew a couple of words in Spanish when we moved. We really
Nothing.
try now to. We would love to be fluent. We are not. But I'm actually amazed at how many words we actually do know when you go to a grocery store and you see holiday makers there looking for the butter, and they don't know that it's mantequilla, and you do, and then suddenly you realize, wow, I know a bit more than I realized.
Yeah, you definitely pick it up quickly. And I generally understand a lot of what's being said. I just can't say it. But absolutely no Spanish coming here whatsoever.
And
I cannot admit that we knew 3 words, hola, whatever.
Yeah, and you honestly do not need to be fluent in Spanish here, because everybody speaks English.
It's too bad because we're not forced to speak their language, and it makes me sad because it's just too easy not to.
Well, that part of it is absolutely correct. If you went to Guadalajara, for instance, you would definitely be more inclined to be learning faster because everyone speaks Spanish there. But here it's just so much English. For that reason, it's not good trying to learn a language. It's difficult.
The people that don't know English are your housekeepers, your gardeners, maybe the workers at Walmart and the grocery stores. Other than that, and probably at the gas station. Other than that, most people, if they'll tell you they don't speak English, but they speak English way better than I speak Spanish.
Now, the one thing, and Risa, I know you've spoken about this a lot. I think there's this myth around Mexico having this feeling of not being safe. That's absolutely not the case at all. Cabo, actually, I think last year was voted the safest city in all of Mexico. We don't have drama. We don't have issues. We have very little unemployment. For the most part, people are employed here.
You don't see homeless people.
Don't see homeless people. If you go out into the boondocks and you leave your car open or the window cracked, maybe someone's going to reach in and grab something. But we don't hear about theft. We don't have murders. It's a very safe city. And any night of the week, we would walk down the main streets of Cabo or San Jose without any concerns whatsoever. So that part of it, that plus the fact that if you're looking at that beautiful nighttime picture of yours, the satellite picture of the Baja Peninsula, to drive down, I would highly recommend if someone's coming here to live or to spend some time, drive a car down and take your time because it is the most beautiful drive. And just the most amazing places. It's a toll road. It's safe. They have military stops every, 4 or 5 of them on the way down. But they make sure that the highway is safe, that there's no one around creating problems. And so it's a fantastic drive. Worth doing.
I'm sure there's cartels. Sorry, Tracy. I'm sure there's cartels here. Like I mean, obviously there are, but we don't see them. They don't bug us.
No.
They value the tourism here, so they know that they don't mess with the tourists.
There's also
and
some very wealthy Mexicans in government and in the military police force who have homes in Cabo. So there's like personal, this is what I've heard. And this is part of the reason why Cabo is so safe, is because they have property there. And
Absolutely.
you do see very, very incredibly wealthy homes, especially along the corridor. It's pretty crazy.
You know, something else that I actually wanted to also mention is the cost of our cell phones. So we've discussed that on another podcast before when Michelle actually mentioned, you know, you need to keep a local number. Yes. Well, when I say local, your home number from the country you're from. So Glenn has an American phone that he uses for banking and things. But my phone, I have a Mexican number, and my plan costs me $7.50 every 26 days.
And what does that plan give you for $7.50?
Everything.
So you
Data, calls, texts to the States, everywhere.
If I run out of it, it'll just run out, then I go and top it up. But the only time I ran out was actually when I was back in the States and I was obviously using too much data. But, you know, here I can use Facebook, Instagram, social media, calls, texts. We all use WhatsApp a lot.
But be careful, because when you do move down here for the first time, you know, don't just automatically give up your American line. Like I'm with T-Mobile. T-Mobile's great. It's been good for me all over the world, and so connectivity is good. I kept my line because a lot of your banking, a lot of those applications that you use, have been using in the States, will not work on a Mexican phone, and so you could run into problems trying to get online, or you try. Yeah, Michelle's got an example.
Yes, we totally ran. We just said, oh, we don't need our Canadian cell phones anymore and that high bill. And we do the pay as you go, which you can top up at the OXXOs, which are like your local 7-Eleven stores here. It's crazy and it's so inexpensive. But you can't do that two-way verification process for a lot of apps or banking with an international number. Now, I'm hoping that one day the world will come together and, you know, they'll get on side. But right now, the Royal Bank will not do a two-way verification to a Mexican phone number.
So I just keep my T-Mobile phone. I think I pay $45 a month for it. And that just, I limit how much data I use so that they don't slap me on the wrist, but I've been fine with that. So we keep that. And also just from a business perspective, it's nice to have an American number. So we just use both. I think there were a couple of other questions.
Yeah, somebody asked about bringing, like, yes, my phone is the phone that I brought from the States. Mine. You've just got to make sure it's unlocked.
Yes.
And then I just put a local SIM card in there.
Someone was asking about the airport. Just for everyone's benefit, the airport designator is SJD, San Jose del Cabo, SJD. So you'll fly directly into that airport. You don't have to go through Mexico City.
And that is our international airport.
And we get a lot of people from Atlanta. So I can't imagine them flying through Mexico City. I'm sure there's a direct flight.
Yeah, probably. Major cities, I think, would have direct flights.
Now, if you want to be super frugal, you can fly into San Diego, walk across the border, you know, and then take a flight from Tijuana. And once you're internal in Mexico, flights are inexpensive. Like we flew to Guadalajara a few months ago, and it cost us maybe $200 for our return flights. So it's pretty inexpensive to fly around Mexico, which is fun because there's a lot of cool places to go and visit and see. but it's very easy to get in and out.
So let's talk.
The SIM card.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just saw a question from.
I've
Oh, you answered
that
the SIM card one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about cars. So it is
Yes.
big car culture in Cabo. Owning a car is a little bit different on the Baja than it is in mainland Mexico, correct? If you want to
Correct.
kind of talk about owning a car in the Baja and kind of what you pay for a car registration, what are you paying for gas these days?
Okay, shall I take that one?
Yeah, explain about the
All right, so
Risa.
this is the other advantage of the Baja or the Californian Peninsula that we're on, is that we're really just an extension of the Californian coast for the most part. So the Baja or Mexico, this part of Mexico is treated a little bit differently and maybe a little bit more leniently as it relates to people coming in across the border in Tijuana or Mexicali. It's a lot more relaxed. The big advantage is owning a car or bringing a car into the Baja. It's considered a free travel zone. And so you're able to bring your American, Canadian plated vehicle across the border, come in and leave it here indefinitely. So a lot of folks will have a home here, they'll put a cover on it, park it, and you don't have any issues with visas, having to get it out of town, unlike the rest of Mexico where you are on a limited visa and your vehicle's attached to that visa, it has to go out with you. And so that becomes problematic when you're trying to own a property and now you've got to get in and out, and it's different. So the Baja is significantly better for that. And the cost of owning, I would say that.
Well, our car insurance is about, we pay a year up front. It works out to be about $39 a month.
And we have a lot of the major dealerships here. We have GM, we've got Ford, we've got Audi, Mercedes. So you can go to a dealership and buy a vehicle. I think they generally are a little bit more expensive here than they are in the States because you've got economies of scale. But a lot of folks will just drive a vehicle down, buy it in San Diego, buy it in the US. They're generally in better condition as well because it's Mexico. We have some pretty rough roads, dirt roads. It's a little harder on a vehicle here. Most people try to gravitate to an SUV or that type of vehicle just because of the roads are not always perfect.
And how much is gas in the Baja these days?
Do you know the gas price?
Yeah, at Costco, I think it's 21 pesos a liter.
Okay, so that's,
No.
Yeah.
I don't know how that converts to gallons.
Okay, so for Americans, that would be
$4.
about $3.80 a gallon.
Okay, so it's about the same as the cost here.
Yeah, because it's settled a bit in the States, right? It came down a bit. So
You know, years ago, the price of gas here was always way more than in the States. Like when we left Tampa, we were paying $1.80 a gallon in Tampa. So obviously it was more here. But then when the price of gas went up so much, it evened out.
So Cindy's asking an interesting question, and it's a good one because the answer is no. If you have an American plated vehicle, remember I said how the Baja is treated differently to the rest of Mexico. If you are wanting to drive your vehicle and get it on a ferry and cross over to mainland Mexico, you need to get a specific permit to do that. It's not that complicated, but you do need to do that. And then you can drive your vehicle across and back again. But you cannot just drive it across.
But that's as a temporary or permanent resident, right? What if you're a tourist?
That's if your car is registered in the States. If your car is registered anywhere but Mexico, that is the situation.
And you also have to have ownership of that, proof of ownership. You cannot take a vehicle. I could not take Glenn and Tracy's car on a road trip to Guadalajara because I don't own that vehicle.
Oh, wow. So, and even if you're a tourist, you cannot bring your American plated car into Mexico just to drive around.
You can.
Yes, you can.
Okay. But
You
only as a
absolutely
tourist.
can. Yes, a tourist resident. So
You just need a permit.
you just need to have a permit if you want to go to mainland Mexico with your American plated vehicle. If you have a Mexican plated vehicle, it's considered national. You can go anywhere you want. But then you also need to have a Mexican license. And in order to have a Mexican license, you need residency. So residency is not difficult. I see someone directed that question to you, Michelle. You want to answer that?
It was relatively easy. You know, we made an appointment with our consulate in Calgary. We went to that. I mean, it was not a short process, but we eventually got our appointment with the consulate in our hometown. We met with them. We took our financial papers with them because they want to make sure that as a tourist or as a temporary resident, you're not going to be a burden on their society. And fair enough. So you take your banking information and all the documentation that they're asking for. And we walked out of there with, well, Mark walked out with a pass to get into Mexico. And then I think you have, from the time you arrive with your little temporary certification, you have 15 days or
30 days from the time you're in
to
here.
meet with the consulate here in Cabo. And
So let me just clarify that. So you apply for your residency in the States at your local Mexican consulate
Canada.
or Canada. You get whether you get a temporary visa or you get a permanent visa, whatever they give you, they put it in your passport. Right. As soon as they put that visa in your passport, the clock starts to tick. You've got 6 months, a window to enter Mexico. You cross the border, you go to immigration, they put a stamp on your visa, and then you've got 30 days to go to the local consulate and get that visa exchanged for your residency card. Yeah. That's basically the process.
And there's two ways you can do it. You can get temporary residency, or if you qualify with financial means, you can get permanent right out the gate.
And you can get a 1 year or a 4 year temporary.
Yes. And it's not really that expensive. So Tracy and I, this is what we do a lot. We help almost every single one of our clients get residency. And so we have a lawyer, her name's Josie. She has her own company called Mexico Paperworks.
Here in Altazal.
And so she's the lady when you get your stamp in your passport that you're going to contact, and she's going to probably charge you around $500. And she's the one that's going to go with you to the consulate, fill out all the paperwork, and get your visa card. She's also the lady that's going to help you get your driver's license, and she helps with all that stuff. So these are the connections and people that make it a lot easier when you're buying a property, that you've got someone who's got these types of connections.
And you can certainly do it on your own. I mean, people have, but honestly, for us, that $500 was worth it.
Good peace of mind.
Yeah, I would definitely not advise people to do things on their own and cobble things together, especially when it comes to being in a foreign country, because it's a slippery slope. And I think things can, get messed up pretty quickly because the laws are different, right? You have to remember that. So I did put a video link up in the chat. I did an interview with a woman who is a visa expert. And so we talked about permanent and temporary residency in Mexico. And also, I think the key to know is it's also very different. The rules, for whatever reason, depending on which consulate you go to in the US or Canada, you can have a completely different experience, completely different price set. It's pretty amazing. So apparently Milwaukee, Wisconsin is the most expensive. Who knew? No one would ever expect that. So basically, you want to do your homework. I advise you to watch that video, but then you will want to hire somebody to help you through that process. I think that's very sound advice. So if you have permanent residency, how does that affect U.S. taxes, or is that another question for another time?
I think that's a very good question. I can answer it very top line. If you, for instance, most Americans, Canadians will continue to either do their tax returns as they always have, and do like a retiree earning zero income, or declare whatever income they have, and they just do their taxes per normal in the States. So that's how we do it.
Yeah, I mean, I know it doesn't matter where you live in America. Once you're an American citizen, you are required to file taxes every year. As a Canadian, we don't have to, but Americans, we do.
So if you own a home in the US, then you are subject to the fact that you have an asset there, and that, you know, if you've got a rental income, all that stuff, yes, you're going to have to pay taxes. It's just one of those things. But for the most part, if you're coming here and you're retired, you're not really going to have a problem. If you want to work, well, you always have to declare your international income on your tax return. You're not going to be double taxed, but you just have to declare it. I hope that answered Amanda's question.
Yes.
You're welcome.
So why don't we talk about pet care and going to the vet? Have you taken your dogs to the vet yet? And what has that experience been like?
Michelle's the lady for that. She's the dog lady.
Absolutely. Pet care here is phenomenal. It's no less than you would receive back home in the US or Canada. So we have two very large dogs. I would say it's at least 60% lower here than at home. We've taken the dogs for, you know, their tick medication and that kind of thing. We get the same tick medication that we purchase at home, exactly the same brand, exactly the same dosage. And I think it costs us $15 versus back home just to make an appointment to get that tick medication. It's $100 plus the $40 in tick medication costs. I even took my fat cat, and she got a complete, you know, bill of health checked over. She got her last shot here, and I think the total vet bill was $22. So it is very inexpensive to own a pet here, and great care. We took them because we like to take them down to the beach, and they get all sandy and salt feeling. We'll take them to the groomers, and I think it was 700 pesos for two dogs. They were there for 2 hours, and they came out clean. Their nails were clipped, their teeth were brushed, and so it was very inexpensive. You know, 800 pesos US dollars is less than $50. $40 for two dogs, so you can't complain about that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to get to, if you guys have more questions, you can start thinking about them now, but I'm just going to, let's talk a little bit about healthcare. We did talk about health insurance and stuff. Have either one of you, any of you gone to the doctors? What was that experience like? And have you gone to the dentist? And what has that experience been like?
Sure.
I have found an amazing doctor here, Dr. Velasquez. I had blood work done, went and saw him. He spent 1 hour with me, going through every line by line and explained everything to me. I mean, he's just amazing. I think it was $55 for his visit, and he's just the nicest person. You know, you feel like you can talk to him. He's not rushing you. So I've had a great experience.
Plus, you did the full panel of blood work, lab work, and what was that? How much did that cost you? 800 pesos?
You know, no, it was more, but you know, again, that depends, because you can get it done in our area here and pay a few $100s, or you can go into local Mexico land and get it for half the price. So it just depends.
So what, 1,200 pesos or 1,000?
It was about $75.
Yeah, for a full blood panel, all the tests, everything.
And that's not claiming, you can't claim those sort of things on your insurance, the insurance we have. So we just pay out of our pocket for that.
I go to a doctor who's a professor, he's Harvard-trained dentist, and I paid $55 for all my x-rays, full panoramic, teeth cleaning, and a examination, $55.
Wow.
So it's really inexpensive.
And I think, Michelle, didn't you saw it?
I also
saw
seen
another-
Dr. Velasquez. He is a cardiologist as well because I have a heart condition, and he gave me a complete EKG and everything from blood pressure medications. It's really great. And you do pay per visit, and I think it is about $55.
And medication.
And you don't need a specialist referral, which is nice. You can just go to a specialist.
Oh, I fell and hurt my elbow, so I went to an orthopedic surgeon, and that was like $50 for that consult.
And what about medications? Medications is a lot cheaper as well, correct?
Yes.
Depends. My medication is actually more than what I used to pay using GoodRx in the States, but it's affordable. I mean, it's not breaking the
You're not
bank.
talking about thousands of dollars a month.
And I take thyroid and blood pressure medication.
Tracy, are you on I have noticed I was offered the generic medication for my blood pressure medication, exactly the same, and it's half the cost.
Yeah, and that's another thing, like if you go to Costco for it, they won't carry the generic, it's the original, so you're going to pay more.
A lot at Costco.
Yeah, and then we have pharmacies here, like the YZA pharmacy or whatever, that have branches all over, and you'll get the generic brand, and it is a lot cheaper.
But Costco, for instance, Costco will do complete free eye examinations. They've got all the equipment. Costs you not a cent.
Oh, you know what? That's a good one. I lost my prescription sunglasses, so I thought, okay, well, I'll go and get an eye test and order some new glasses. I went to Costco. They did the eye test for free, and it was the exact same eye test that I would have had in the States. And I got a pair of prescription sunglasses and a pair of prescription reading glasses. The whole thing came to, I think, 220, equivalent of 225 US.
Wow. So does your health insurance cover pre-existing conditions?
That's a difficult one, because when I was looking, that's another reason why we chose IMG, because a lot of I have two pre-existing. One is thyroid that they're not worried about. The other is my blood pressure, which they do worry about. So IMG did cover me. Sometimes your insurance may exclude you from anything heart related to give you coverage for that. And they also did go and contact our doctor in the States. We had to have a recent full medical, and they contacted our doctor to get our full history of everything.
So
I don't know if Michelle, if you had a different experience with yours.
For the only thing I'm pretty sure they do not cover pre-existing conditions was for my migraine headaches. But in saying that, now that I've moved to a climate that is a lot more consistent, my migraine headaches have been cut by almost none. Like I may, instead of having 4 a month, I may have 1 every 3 months.
that's the Cabo effect. People come here, they suddenly feel better. The heart problems disappear. Tracy's high blood pressure disappeared.
Well, it didn't disappear, but it was
But it
normal.
dropped
Yeah,
significantly.
it was in a normal range, whereas before I left it was so out of control.
But an important practical point here is if someone's thinking of moving here, you want to have had a medical at least within the last 12 months of buying medical insurance, because they need to see that you've been to the doctor and had a medical. Now, it doesn't have to always be like a super crazy cover every single thing in the medical. I didn't know it. I just ran to a clinic, said, just give me the most basic medical you can give me. So I've got something, and I got my coverage that way. So as long as you have something within the preceding 12 months, you're good.
So Amanda's asking about arthritis and how the dry climate affects it.
I know, just we worked in the pharmaceutical area, and I worked specifically as a brand manager for Celebrex, which is a brand that is used for, it's an anti-arthritic product. And I know that for sure, dry climates and not cold, damp climate does significantly help. However, it's an autoimmune disease, and inflammation is just a reality of that. But there's certain other aspects like cold and damp that makes it worse. And we don't really have that cold and damp here. It's dry. And everyone's hair is fabulous, eh, Michelle?
In the winter months, not the summer.
It's very humid here. That's why my hair is in a ponytail today.
Thank you so much to Michelle and Glenn
Thank
and
you.
Tracy for joining me today.
Thanks, everyone.
All the best.